Hey, this is Suzette the Marriage Warrior, and today I want to talk about whether or not you know that avoiding emotional intimacy can really sabotage your marriage. And let's talk about what emotional intimacy really is. A lot of my clients don't even know what it is. What emotional intimacy is when you come to a conversation and you're vulnerable. Now, vulnerability doesn't have any blame shifting in it. It doesn't have any criticism in it towards the other person. It has nothing to do with the other person at all. It has to do with your ability to tell on yourself and what you're feeling. And so a lot of people don't even know what they're feeling. They just know they're mad at somebody else doing something else to them. That's all they know. But that's not emotional intimacy in a conversation when you're just pointing out someone else's flaws. In fact, that will cause a gaslighting situation where you guys are blaming the other person and criticizing the other person, and it gets so hurtful because the toxicity starts coming into the cycle, and then you have to then deal with what they just said about you or what you didn't even know you were doing wrong that they just called out because they were trying to get the attention off of them. It can become a mess. So when we're looking at emotional intimacy and vulnerability and telling on yourself, what that means is you come to a conversation seeing what you're bringing negative to the dynamic, and you're able to tell on yourself. You're just saying, listen, I know that I put us in a situation that I avoid conflict forever, and then it makes you mad because you want to talk about the situation and I just keep putting you off. That's vulnerability. Or vulnerability is about owning the fact that you know that you gaslight someone in order to get the attention off of you. I know I start calling you names and making you, think about yourself and making a crazy maker because I am really insecure about A, B, or C. That's vulnerability. When you come to a conversation with vulnerability, with two people being vulnerable, it's not going to cause an argument. Because if I'm telling you what I'm doing and I'm owning my part, and you're telling me what you're doing and you're owning your part, guess what? We can get to a conclusion. Forgiveness comes really easily when two people are doing that. And that's the start of a healing conversation. Well, I want to hear more about why you do what you do, or I want to know more about why I do what I do. Do you see this often? And then we're starting to grow. We're starting to see each other through the reflection to say, yeah, you kind of do this every time we try to talk. It just gets nowhere. Or whatever it is that y'all are learning with each other through that vulnerable, intimate, emotional conversation, then you can get somewhere to know a direction, and change can actually occur in the relationship. And so if you learn how to be emotionally vulnerable with each other, you will find that you're more connected instead of disconnected. Every argument cycle, every toxic conversation, every time that y'all are blaming each other or criticizing, what you're learning is that the other person thinks more negatively about you in order to get the attention off of them. That is not going to go anywhere. And so if you can just focus the conversation on starting with vulnerability, and you can even do something kind of, benign, where you say, okay, I'm going to come in and tell you what I've done wrong, and you tell me what you've done wrong. And let's kind of do it that way. And then if you set the conversation up like that, then you can absolutely get somewhere in the conversation. Now, why do people avoid this? Well, because there's guards there. There's coping mechanisms there. And we wind up being conditioned in a coping mechanism of avoidance, or accusing, or negative blame shifting, or whatever, because we haven't practiced how to be vulnerable through our development. And so in a marriage, you're wanting to practice that because you're neither one of y'all married in order to get divorced. And a divorce will happen if two people don't grow together. And so this is a way to grow together. A simple tool that you can use to start this process is what I call patio time. Patio time is about 20 minutes that you take away from the children and the day and the phones and whatever the distractions are, and you take 20 minutes to try to figure out what it is that the other person felt that day. So it's highs and lows. what was your high today? What was your low today? And you're looking for an emotion. You're not looking for an event. So if they tell you my high was I was promoted, that's not what highs and lows are. High is what did you feel about that promotion? And that's a easy kind of startup with trying to get emotionally connected again, because what you're doing is you're locating yourself to try to express what your emotions were that day, the highs and lows, and then you're able to locate your partner by knowing their highs and lows, because knowing each other's highs and lows in the emotional realm will help you communicate through another topic. We'll be able to kind of get their feelings about something else that they were feeling about the day, or what brought on that particular feeling that they had. And you get to know each other, and then each person feels that safe environment together to be able to have those vulnerable conversations about their emotions. So the basic reason that people are not vulnerable is because we haven't been taught vulnerability. Instead, we've been conditioned to survive pain and trauma, and we learn to cope. And so if you don't stop at some point in your life and learn the skills of vulnerability and learn the skills of expression, you're going to stay in a coping mechanisms, and every coping mechanism is going to fail. It's going to cause a divide because it's a self-protection, not a we protection. And when you are in the we protection mindset, you're about owning your own stuff. Your partner's about owning their own stuff and seeing how it's dividing the unity that y'all have. And then when y'all can figure that out and start something new, you will feel more connected, more bonded, and feel like you have more hope instead of a despair of feeling like we are just on a bad track and we're never going to make it, which can be a hopelessness and a loneliness that two people can feel in a marriage that will make them want to get out, because the emotional abuse of feeling that is so horrific for each person. So I would encourage you guys to try with patio time. The other thing is there's lots of couple games out there that can get into emotional vulnerability of just asking questions. And so if y'all just take some time, 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes on a weekend or 20 minutes during a date, to be able to ask these questions of one another, you'll get to know each other. And it makes it move in a projection of positivity rather than negativity. I hope that helps you today.